50, 40, 30, 20, 5. Spoiler sorti.
What we did is load the red Corvette aboard a big 18-wheeler. No, I'm not talking about a truck. I'm talking about this 18-wheeler, UTA 747 cargo jet. This is the flight deck, and it looks just like a regular passenger jetliner, except for the fact that the only windows in the plane are up here, and this plane spends a lot more time in the air than it does on the ground, constantly flying between San Francisco and Paris and Africa. So I bet you're just dying to know how much it costs to fly a Corvette all the way from the West Coast over to France. Well, figure it this way. The car takes up the space of about 15 passenger seats, and it's still cheaper to fly the car than it would be to buy the 15 seats and put people in it and fly them over. That make any sense?
Yeah. Tonight, join Chuck as he takes us on a wild ride through Paris, the capital of crazy streets.
The traffic doesn't go from left to right, or it doesn't go right to left, or it doesn't come north to south or east to west.
We'll drive to the Paris countryside and discover the empire of one of the world's biggest leather fashion designers.
This is what I love, is all the detail work. It's so pretty.
Then we'll toast with a champagne tycoon and discover the secret of his success.
I drink a bottle of champagne per meal.
And we'll visit the oldest bakery in Paris and the newest creation at the Louvre. So hold on to your seat as we experience Paris topless.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chuck Henry, and tonight we're going to show you what it's like to live and to drive in Paris, the city of lights. Now, as you can see, we've got the red Corvette with us. We've had it flown all the way over from Los Angeles because we're going to show you what the Paris lifestyle is really all about. You're going to see Paris like you've never seen it before, but remember, it is all very definitely French.
In the summer, in front of the Eiffel Tower, driving is not so bad. You might be better off driving than actually using your feet. You see, these people are mostly tourists, and because in July and August, Parisians desert the city, they all take their vacation at the same time. During the French holidays, it takes about 10 minutes to drive from the Eiffel Tower to Notre Dame. To cover the same distance for the rest of the year, you'd need at least an hour.
The middle of the most confusing place in all of Paris. It's the traffic circle. I gotta watch what I'm doing here. Around the Arc de Triomphe. Now imagine this. It's a circle, and there are 14 avenues and boulevards flowing into the circle. It's the only place in all of Paris where your auto insurance is not any good. If you get in a wreck here, you've really had it.
The best way to handle Paris traffic has been discovered by the country's most influential leather fashion designer, Jean-Claude Gitois. The answer is simple. Live outside of Paris.
All up the country, baby, don't you wanna go? I'm going up the country, baby, don't you wanna go? I'm going to some place where I've never been.
This 15th century castle is more than a hideaway to French fashion designer Gitois. It's the place where he hides the secret of what makes his collections a worldwide success. Jean-Claude Gitois was convinced that he could find a French countryside castle at a lower price than a Paris condominium. He found it and moved his fashion empire away from the capital.
Is your lifestyle reflected in your designs?
Absolutely. Yes.
Jean-Claude Gitois' leather fashion is internationally sought after by jet setters and celebrities alike.
Princess Stephanie, Princess Caroline, Brigitte Nielsen, the Queen, Liz Taylor.
Yeah.
Brigitte Nielsen. A skirt is not expensive, but si nous faisons un crocodile jacket, it's very expensive.
If you're ready to spend $6,000 on a leather jacket, don't bother flying to France because you can find Gitois stores here in the U.S. Gloria Blackburn introduced to California Jean-Claude Gitois' leather collection by opening a boutique in Beverly Hills.
Ever since the store opened here, I mean, I come in, other people, you know, I see them around town, and you can always say, that's Jean-Claude, because they're very unique. They have a great style of their own.
Feeling the touch of Gitois' leather seems to be catching on in the Western high society.
When a woman wears a dress, especially in leather, number one is very sexy, and number two, if it hugs a woman's body and it's cut well, there's nothing like it in the world. Du meilleur du monde.
Merci, chérie.
Pas de quoi.
From the charming French countryside, the leather empire of Gitois is now conquering America.
Now, Washington, Dallas, Atlanta, New York, Miami, Palm Springs.
Gitois doesn't believe in modern technology to create clothing. Here in the sewing and cutting rooms, everything is expertly done by using techniques and machines from the beginning of the century. The skins are first chosen and then cut by hand. It takes about 6 skins to cut just one jacket.
I think we have got the best people in the world to have the techniques of cutting and of assembling the clothes together. Embroidery, we have started with about 3-4 years ago, and now it's one of our main attractions.
Obviously, you can make a lot of money doing this?
Yes, many.
Many?
Yes.
Many?
Many.
To buy a chateau like this? Helicopters, cars, everything.
Why not?
Now, if you can't afford a castle to live outside the city, you could, like many other Parisians, just drive to the countryside. And about an hour and a half from Paris is one of the world's most famous regions. The land and its product's name is one and the same. It's called Champagne. The Champagne region is the only place in the world where real champagne is made. Anywhere else, it's just called sparkling wine. Making champagne is more than a business, it's a family tradition. And this castle belongs to the family Tattinger, who started making champagne in 1920. Since then, the Tattingers have been using the traditional methods of the monks, who 300 years ago discovered the secret of foam and fermentation.
Here in the cellar, you can find some very interesting antiques, like this huge 15th century wine press that was made by monks, constructed entirely of wood. There's a giant screw here which goes up through the ceiling, and men or oxen or whatever would turn it. And this is a giant log, weighs who knows how much. The grapes were spread out on this flat table. The log would come down and crush it, and the liquid would flow out this spigot.
Today, grapes are still picked and pressed in the same time-honored tradition. Their selection is very important in creating a unique blend.
made part of black grapes, part of white grapes. We try to use more white grapes because it gives lightness, style, elegance, and a very specific fragrance.
All it takes to make one bottle of fine French champagne is a kilo of grapes. See this? This represents a kilo of grapes, a bottle of fine French champagne.
It takes more than 4 pounds of grapes to make a bottle of champagne. Before bottling, liquid sugar is added. The yeast that was created transforms the sugar into alcoholic gas. This process is called fermentation. That's when the bubbles are formed. As the champagne develops very slowly in the cellars, sediment is formed. Every day, the bottles must be turned and lifted by hand to bring the sediment as close as possible to the neck of the bottle. The cork is then removed and the sediment eliminated. The bottles are recorked and prepared for marketing. You need at least 5 years from the time you pick the grapes until you can drink the champagne.
I drink a bottle of champagne per meal. It is to say 2 bottles of champagne a day. It gives me a chance of drinking approximately between 15,000 or 18,000 bottles of champagne in my life.
Fly to the sky on champagne, that since the world began has never been as happy as we are tonight.
Next up, the oldest method of baking bread in Paris and the newest addition to the Louvre Museum.
This is the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and it's located right in the heart of Paris. Actually, it's situated on an island, which is right smack in the middle of the River Seine. Definitely on my list of stops as a visitor to Paris. But this is also a stop that a lot of Parisians make because this area that we're in is what's known as Saint-Germain. It's sort of the Westwood of Paris. And it is also home to one of the most famous bakeries in all of Paris, the Poland Bakery.
Les matières, c'est la ouate qu'elle préfère, passive, elle est pensive, négligée de soi.
In Paris, you can find a bakery on almost every street. But here, they bake the most popular bread in 19th century tradition.
I built my own ovens myself. I'm the only baker in France who built my own ovens, in brick. It's a wood fire, I use actually 5 tons of wood a day.
Although baking bread the traditional way ends up costing more, the Poland Bakery still sells 500 tons of bread a year to an amazingly high 4% of the Paris population.
In the morning, people like to receive their bread hot,
Right.
Yeah.
You mean if I went downstairs now, I could get some hot bread?
Of course. There's bread cooking actually in an oven.
Can you show it to me?
Of course, go on.
Come on. So the bakery has always been down here. For 200 years it was downstairs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you bake the bread?
Very simple. You see flour.
Flour? Yeah.
Water. And we make dough. This is sourdough.
Can I taste that?
Yes, you can touch. This is pure wheat flour. This is a batch. Afterwards, we weigh the bread by hand. You see, it's a ramen balance. I like electronic, but this is more convenient than electronic.
How do you get the bread out of there?
With a spatula. See, this, we use this.
Yeah?
Spatula, look at that. Very hot.
Wow. And when Napoleon was here, they were baking bread down here?
Absolutely.
It's a lot of bread.
It's a lot of bread. Exactly.
Just across the River Seine is the Louvre, the final resting point for some of the world's great artistic treasures. In fact, the kings of France used to live here, and soon this will be the largest museum in the world. One thing that Parisians agree on, that if it's old and if it's priceless, you'll probably find it at the Louvre. But Parisians disagree about a new addition to the Louvre. The addition is right through there, a pyramid.
Toi, toi, mon toi, 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 mon tout, mon roi, toi, toi, mon toi, 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 mon tout, mon roi.
I think it's ugly. I don't like.
This is pyramid.
Do you like it?
Et comme ci, comme ça.
It's not beautiful, but it's not awful.
Construction of the pyramid brought a lot of controversy among the Parisians. The contrast between the old and the new wasn't well received, but to the museum administrators, the pyramid was a necessity. It's like the tip of an iceberg hiding an underground complex.
It does not have facilities to receive people. That means you have 4 million visitors a year, and they just don't have the facilities to cope with 4 million people. Facilities that don't exist in the museum, which means facilities to receive groups, restaurants, auditoriums, bookshops, and very practical things too. The museum really needs is space for restoration, a laboratory, which is very important.
When excavating for the underground museum, there were many unexpected discoveries.
All of this is under the Louvre. You had no idea the condition of this until
We knew it existed, but we have no idea what condition it was in until we dug down.
And it's in very good condition.
It's in excellent condition.
And how old is this?
This is Charles V, which is 14th century. Here you have walls, the old walls of Paris built by Philippe Auguste at the end of the 12th century.
This hasn't seen daylight in some time.
This hasn't seen daylight since the 14th century.
Amazing what you can find underground. Start digging.
Next up, a unique club for the wealthy that attracts top fashion designers.
A tourist with big bucks to spend would obviously stay in an expensive hotel while visiting Paris. But the well-traveled business executive, I mean the person that knows how to really live and drive in Paris, prefers an exclusive club, like the St. James's.
This turn-of-the-century castle, located in one of the most prestigious areas of Paris, used to be a hotel for students. Now it's a luxurious club. The St. James's originated in London, and the concept of club life is very new to Parisians. Here you must pay a membership fee to be able to rent a room. But the big difference is, unlike hotels, the St. James's Club, you're treated like a guest at someone's home.
Our clients are between 35, 55, so the age is something important. Active person, a lot of them, in fashion.
Christian Lacroix, who is France's Best Design Award winner, finds the St. James's a perfect location to display his recent collection. Because of its privacy, the St. James's Club is an ideal stopover for jet-setters and celebrities alike. Here you can play billiards in the game room or enjoy a cocktail in the club room. Its traditional bar has a rare ambiance. It's surrounded by a splendid library with some 10,000 leather-bound volumes. If you need more than intellectual stimulation, you can work out and relax in the health club. To fully satisfy your senses, resident gourmet chef Luc Moreau will then delight the most discriminating palate.
Every chef has a specialty. What's yours?
Eh ben, j'aime beaucoup travailler le poisson.
Unfortunately, we haven't progressed to the point where I can offer it to you, so I'll do the next best thing, which is I'll sample it myself. Oh, that's good.
But remember, in France, a dinner is always a special occasion to dress up. Dining at the St. James's restaurant is more than a gourmet experience. It's being a part of the fashionable Parisian scene.
Well, that's a look at some of the people who live and drive in Paris. I really think that nighttime is the best time in this city. After all, that's how it got its nickname, the City of Lights. Right now, let's take a look at what's coming up next time.
Join us next time as we take the red Corvette topless through the French Riviera and visit the sister city of Beverly Hills, Cannes.
That's next time. I'm Chuck Henry in Paris. Good night, everybody.
Air transportation provided by UTA French Airlines. Hotel accommodations in Paris provided by the St. James's Club. Ground transportation provided by Paris Vision.
Allons enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Contre nous de la tyrannie, l'étendard sanglant des deuils.
You see, I'm going one way and everybody else is going another way. Thank you. I'm going to get out of here now. I'm going to pull it right over the side and count my blessings.
What do you think of Chuck Henry?